And we're live. Guys, my name is Max Zanan, and I decided to start this podcast for a simple reason. I read a book by a former CEO of Goldman Sachs, and one of the chapters he dedicates to the fact that as a CEO, part of your job is just being paranoid. And the level of paranoia that he had during the financial crisis translated into the fact that Goldman Sachs was the only investment bank that came out smelling like roses after 2008. So if you remember, Bear Stearns collapsed, Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy, Morgan's Merrill Lynch was sold to Bank of America in a shotgun marriage. Morgan Stanley was about to go next, but they survived. But they took some losses, and Goldman actually made money in 2008 and 2009 and 2010. And it's just a well-oiled machine in terms of being paranoid. So once I read that book, I figured that, I actually, and I'm not exaggerating, like almost every night, I wake up in the middle of the night panicking about car business, right? Because I've been in car business. This is my 26th year. I worked at I held every position in a car dealership, and I went through 2008, and it was absolutely devastating. And I think we as a country are due for another crisis that's really been since 2008. So 18 years. I'm not an economist, but I understand economy is cyclical, and there will be a crisis. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know whether it's going to be financial crisis. Everybody defines a crisis for themselves. So the purpose of this podcast is to go over potential hypothetical risks that every car dealer could be facing. And this is our first episode. I'd like to introduce my dear friend, Vlad Spiegelman. He is the dealer operator over GM and a Stellantis dealership in Bridgeton, New Jersey. So, he is in the trenches every single day, right? And today we're going to talk about a potential crisis that keeps me up at night. And here's the scenario. What do you do as a car dealer, especially if you're a Stellantis dealer, if Carvana opens a new car franchise, and so far Carvana owns 7 CDJR dealerships? So what do you do if they open another one in your PMA?
Max,
Right?
thank you so much. Hello, it's my pleasure to be here. Obviously, I appreciate the honor, and the opportunity. So I think that there are multiple different ways we can look at Carvana and Stellantis stores. Fortunately, for dealers that are not looking to get better at their job, from my understanding, Stellantis put some type of a cap on approvability for Carvana's, not even Carvana stores, but anybody in general, that within specific calendar year, I don't think you can transact more than once or few times buying a Stellantis store. And in general, in a big period of time, you can't own more than 10, something like that. So I don't know the exact details, but I think that there was some type of a cap that was placed on.
So in your case, it could be them buying a GM dealership.
Exactly. But then on the flip side of that, I would probably say that what we as dealers should do, we should definitely learn a lot. I mean, these are the guys that came into the world as used car dealers that nobody thought were going to be successful. They had a big splash, then they almost went bankrupt, and after that, they came back. I know that whoever kind of had the guts to buy their stock is laughing all the way to the bank, as you always say. So.
Well, listen, I don't think dealers took Carvana seriously before new car stores, right? As a
Yeah.
used car operator, a lot of dealers ignored them, and I think continue to ignore them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you some numbers. These are the annual sales. In 2023, Carvana sold 312,847 cars. In 2024, that number is 416,348 cars. 2025, 596,641. And today, they announced their second quarter numbers. So up until today in 2026, they already sold 384,718 cars. So they're tracking 800,000 cars in 2026. And they're also tracking $2 billion in net income. And this is what dealers will have to compete with.
Yeah.
And this is how I see it. I think there are tremendous benefits to Carvana's platform from the consumer perspective, right? And I'm going to list them out because I really prepared for this meeting. So first they give you, and again, you tell me, maybe I'm crazy, maybe you guys can do the same thing. They give you an ability to upload a driver's license and an insurance ID card right on their website. I think that's super convenient and it gets the customer mentally committed. You can choose F&I products on Carvana's website as a consumer. You can schedule delivery or pickup. You can sign most documents electronically. You can make a down payment on their portal, on their website. And the idea is that they design customer experience similar to Amazon in the sense that they want to eliminate friction. So Ken, I think you guys are limited when it comes to choosing website providers.
That is correct. So we have to work with a OEM approved website provider, but honestly, there's a whole lot of them. And also we as dealer body get to choose pretty much everything about that website. This has to be a specific information output that OEM controls, but we still have a lot of say in design and placement and everything else. Regarding Carvana, the reason why they're successful is because I guess we are a stubborn body of humans that are not looking to think outside the box. So every single thing that you listed that Carvana has available, we as dealers have available as well. It's just a matter of choosing to do that or seeing the new level of customers as online or remote customers rather than everybody must be in the showroom. It just people are used to push appointments rather than pushing this entire seamless experience where nobody has to drive tens, hundreds of miles to purchase a vehicle.
Right, but then listen, I'm going to give you, in my opinion, benefits of a dealership model. Mm-hmm. So first of all, I can test drive before I buy.
Yes.
And I think that's an incredible competitive advantage, right? That's number one. Number two, if something goes wrong, whatever it is, I'm not talking about mechanical breakdown, right? Maybe it's title, maybe it's registration, right? There's an ongoing relationship with the local dealer where I, as a customer, can come to you and hopefully you will help me solve the problem. I'm not sure if Carvana can do that because there is no personal relationship.
Yes.
Number three, immediate access to the service department and warranty work. Again, Carvana, outside of new car sales, is not famous or infamous, for prepping their cars or having a service department. And to me, the most important thing is the face-to-face ability to interact with the dealer if anything goes wrong or anything goes right, which again is non-existent with Carvana. So I think every dealer should make it super easy, right? So when I come to your website, I think the only two things I want to see as a consumer is an ability to schedule a test drive and an ability to schedule service online. Yeah. I don't think I want to see your inventory on the homepage because I think every consumer understands if they came to Bridgeton Chevy, right? They understand that you have Chevys in stock.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that also leads into the fact that Carvana is very impersonal and the dealership experience should be very personal.
Yeah.
But in order for it to be personal, I think you gotta, and we talk about it all the time, right? You have this about us page. Every dealer has this on their website. But every time I go to about us page, in most cases, I have no idea who owns the dealership. I have no idea who's the general manager. In many cases, there's no contact information. In many cases, there is an email address for some kind of a manager, but the picture is missing. Right. And if the picture is missing, it's almost as that person doesn't exist. Right. There's almost never a phone number to call directly to that person.
Yeah.
So I think this is where dealers can improve in order to compete better with Carvana.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I think that these companies exist only because we're not doing 100% as what we're supposed to. And, I don't want to say this about every dealer, but majority of the dealers are, including myself. We are not, we are far from perfect. Our website is not as you just described it, but this is something that we all have to strive to achieve. This is something that we all need to understand is becoming a major part of business, and this is why these guys are around. Same as somebody like Jiffy Lube, because you can drive in and get your oil changed in 30 minutes, and you don't have to deal with the scheduling, rescheduling, confirming, waiting, and everything else. So it's we have a lot to learn as a dealer body of the improvements that need to happen, because it's no longer decades ago where competition is not here. We have tremendous amount of competition, and whoever is taking customers' needs and considerations closer to heart will probably be able to do well.
But I also think that dealers completely ignore this personal contact, right? And that's, to me, that's really scary. And then I also noticed that dealers, it's easy to put your head in the sand and not mystery shop your own business because it's probably going to be heartbreaking, right? But if you want to compete with Carvana, the first thing I would do is mystery shop my own website.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. And I don't mean to put you on a spot, but I did go to your website today.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a button that says service. And you click on it, and it takes you to a page that says schedule service.
Yeah. Redundant, right? A little bit.
Right. Right. In the world of Amazon, right, that's an extra click that shouldn't be there.
Right.
Let it just say schedule service.
Yeah.
I
agree with you. That's a great way of obviously looking at it. It's 100% correct. Time is everything, and that's what people look at.
Exactly. So that's why, like, Amazon has this one-click purchase, right? Because that's the philosophy behind eliminating any kind of friction.
Yeah.
And Carvana is striving towards that. Another thing, what do you think about, like, if you got the customer in a showroom, right, and you are potentially competing with Carvana?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can show them the car. Yes, you can take them on a test drive. But then I would immediately take that customer to the service department and say, hey,
because this is something that we have
to maintain and to repair your car. You're not calling some 800 number, getting million transfers, right? And then somebody tells you, well, go to a local mechanic because Carvana doesn't have a service department.
Of course.
So I would put an accent on that, and then I would actually dedicate a lot of time into retraining my salespeople to deal with the Carvana threat. Even if they're not opening in your PMA, I'm sure it comes up in the conversations where the customer can say, well, I saw this on Carvana, it was blah, blah, blah. So what I did today, I actually looked at Carvana's reviews. If I'm a dealer, right, what I would do two things. I would get a digital copy of some of these reviews so you can easily email them or text to your customers. And I would actually enlarge them, print them out, and just put them somewhere and take people to read these real reviews because the complaints are crazy. Number one, the vehicle condition not matching the expectation.
Not as described.
Correct. This is what you get without test driving first.
Sure, especially on a pre-owned side.
Exactly, exactly. Then mechanical issues discovered shortly after delivery,
Yeah.
which tells me, and I'm sure you understand, right, that they're not really prepping cars.
Yeah, because they're chasing a specific price point, and in order to achieve a specific price point, especially majority of their inventory probably comes from national auctions, it's extremely difficult for them to stay competitive if they're competing with thousands of other dealers for the same vehicle.
So then I'm guessing you prep your cars, make them frontline ready.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
so we have a rigorous
did you
process.
show a copy of the repair order to the customer and say, hey, this is what we actually did to the car before we offered it for sale? And if because you can really make a comparison, say, I guarantee you can't get a copy of that repair order from Carvana.
Because it was not prepped.
It was never done.
Yeah.
Right. So the next complaint is that difficulty getting repairs approved under warranty, which could mean several things, right? If they're selling aftermarket warranties, right, the warranty administrator could be denying a claim for a pre-existing condition.
Yes.
Because again, the car was never prepped.
Yeah.
Whereas you should be in a position to easily bring this up and tell people this is what could happen to you if you buy a car from Carvana. And then I think everybody knows that registration and title delays and Carvana are synonymous. Right? So if you read some of these consumer reviews, I mean, it's heartbreaking. People are waiting for the title for almost a year. This is not good.
And it's been going on for a long time with them. This is
exactly. Now, another complaint is that they offer very low trade-in dollars when people try to sell to Carvana. So I know you have an appraisal tool on your website.
Yep.
So have you ever tested it against Carvana with the same VIN?
I'll be honest with you. I haven't visited Carvana's website in a very long time. I never looked at them as our direct competitor. I guess maybe it's that time that we start looking at all these big groups as direct competitors, but we haven't, specifically for all those reasons. Our cars are not the same because our objective is to buy vehicles from our customers. It's a homegrown vehicle that we understand has been purchased here, has been serviced here. We can provide literally every 2,000-3,000 mile service history on every other vehicle that we sell. So we feel like we can stand behind our product a lot stronger than a national kind of used car chain like Carvana is. So I would imagine that that's not something that we can compete in, as well as selling the aftermarket products or any type of factory warranties. Who can better represent that than OEM dealer like us?
Well, my concern would be that one of the 7 CDJR stores is actually in Boston, Massachusetts, which is not that far from you.
No.
So who knows where the next one is going?
Absolutely.
But again, I would, in my paranoid mind, right?
You would probably buy a vehicle there, just knowing what you would.
Well, yeah, because at the very minimum, I'm going to test my trade-in tool. And see if I'm paying more than Carvana.
Yeah.
Because if I'm consistently paying less, I might lose that vehicle acquisition avenue. Yeah. Right? Because people talk.
Yeah, of course. And also a lot of times when people have a trade-in, that is the first and most important number that they want to hear first before the second question of a new vehicle even comes up. So if dealers are not competitive or not competitive enough, that becomes a huge problem of the start.
Yeah, and also I think, some people, are okay banking at a large bank like Chase or Citi.
Yeah.
Where nobody knows your name.
Yeah.
but some people prefer that small boutique bank.
The personal experience.
And I think that's where the dealership shines. You cannot get that personal experience from Carvana when Carvana is selling 800,000 cars a year,
Of course.
no matter how hard they try. So, what is it that you do at Bridgeton Automall to make yourself known in the community?
So we participate in multiple community events. I'll even give you an example. We have a promotion that we're running this month that actually on this Saturday, August 1st, one of the customers who purchased a vehicle throughout the month of July is going to win $20,000. And one of the customers who serviced the vehicle throughout July is going to take home $5,000. So this is all designed specifically for our local communities to sort of give back. But also besides that, we participate in all local fundraising events. We help local schools, little leagues and stuff like that. And on the sales side, I think it's extremely important that every customer gets to meet the service advisor who's going to be taking care of them in the future. I think that, booking next service appointments when the customer is about to leave is also extremely important. So we always try to stay in touch and keep in touch with the customers that are part of our network, and understanding that these are the target people that we want to make sure to do business with, rather than anybody multiple states away.
So you're located in Bridgeton. What's the population of Bridgeton?
So Bridgeton, the population is in mid to upper 20,000. It's a pretty small town. It's pretty rural. It's also, I guess it's probably medium income is 40 to 50,000. But a lot of surrounding areas get into larger population, higher income. So we literally have every type of customer around us. That's why we need to understand how to cater to every single customer. That our job is, we're not selling only Mercedes or we're not selling only entry level Chevy Equinox or something like that. So we have to understand that every customer experience should be super priority for us, and regardless of the vehicle they're buying, because they are our demographic. This is what we have to do.
So is your main focus when it comes to advertising the local market, so everybody in Bridgeton knows that
Correct.
if they need a Chevy or
Yes,
Stellantis product, you are the destination?
that is our target. Of course, you get to compete with multiple other dealers that always try to advertise in your PMA, but our target is to be the preferred dealer of our community.
Okay. So then again, going back to Carvana, right? Because even if they're gonna open a new car franchise in your PMA, they're still gonna sell used cars.
Yes.
So when it comes to used cars or even new cars, we have to talk about service.
Yeah.
So do you guys offer quick loop service without an appointment?
We do. So this is something that we introduced recently because we saw obviously that there's a lot of that business is happening down a block. I mean, we literally have within 1 mile range, probably 3 off-brand facilities that do oil and brakes and tires, which is completely crazy. But every day I drive through them on the way to work, and I just see how much opportunity or how much we're under delivering in order for these businesses to stay alive. So there's definitely a huge area of improvement. We got to do a better job as far as communicating to customers that prices are not more expensive. Technicians are actually factory trained. We are the source for all OEM parts. We are the source for all the recalls. So while your oil change is getting done at the same or cheaper price, rather than the guy down a block, we also can do a lot of factory recommended stuff for you that to understand that your vehicle is going to last out a lot longer, especially in such difficult economy. I think this is a record age of a vehicle on the road that we've ever seen now. As well as also, we have an extremely unique product called Repair for Life. So every single customer that buys a vehicle from Bridgeton Automall and services, or you don't even have to be a sales customer, you can be just a service customer, and every over $200 repair that you spend, including some maintenance items like batteries and brakes, you get that item guaranteed for life. So why wouldn't you come to Bridgestone Auto Mall and repair your vehicle here, because it's the same cash that you're going to spend somewhere else, except the second you drive out of there, there's no guarantees.
So I'm going to give you a crazy statistic, right? Because this is driving me insane. Because every dealer I speak to is convinced, right, that they can sell their way out of any trouble.
Yeah.
Sell a
So
car.
I don't. I don't. Yeah.
Right? If your dealership is located in a town of 25,000 people, there's a cap to how many cars you, and it's not a reflection on your salesmanship, it's a reflection on population density.
Yeah.
Right? So at some point, there's no more people to sell cars to, or there's a cap that you cannot go over unless population increases or you spread out further and further away from the dealership.
Yeah.
So here's the crazy number. In my conservative estimate, and it's super conservative, 100 million Americans maintain and service their cars on an annual basis, 100 million people outside of a dealership network.
It's insane.
So imagine there's 100 million customer pay labor repair orders on the road. And all you have to do is bend over and pick it up.
Unbelievable.
So think of it this way, 19 million people a year go to Jiffy Lube. 30 million people a year go to Valvoline. So between Jiffy Lube and Valvoline, that's already 49 million people.
Insane.
And then you have another 12 million going to Midas and Meineke. And we're not even touching any independent mechanics. We haven't touched Pep Boys.
Yeah.
We haven't touched Goodyear.
Yeah, AutoZone and
Firestone. So I'm telling you, 100 million is a conservative number.
unbelievable.
So all you have to do, especially if you want to compete with Carvana on a used car, is to really not even sell the car, sell the service department. You know, and there are various ways to do it. Like you mentioned, you can do no appointment quick service, which is already a huge step in taking.
Drive in, anytime. Our goal is to be at dealership hours, sales department hours. Right now, our service department currently closes a few hours earlier, but the goal is eventually to mimic the sales department's hours.
Right. And then, maybe you can offer loaners for major repairs. I'm not saying to do loaners for oil change like Mercedes does.
Yeah.
But it's a good one-up on Carvana, right? Because they can service. They definitely cannot give you a loaner.
Correct.
Another thing I would, I don't know if you can, but I would offer complimentary car wash with every service.
We do. So we actually build a car wash on premises to make sure that we do exactly that.
Yeah, because I think this is the biggest mousetrap from a personal experience, right? If you can wash your car for free.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Listen, it's our pleasure, but it's also an amazing feeling for the customer to, get your oil changed. The car now is refreshed mechanically, and why shouldn't it be refreshed physically, sort of,
Right. What about, and I don't think Carvana does this. What about like a 48-hour return policy?
So we recently introduced a 5-day kind of return policy just to give customer an opportunity, not really to, joyride a vehicle and give it back, but at least have a peace of mind that any organization that does that, it probably stands behind their vehicles. At least we understand that you most likely going to return a vehicle if the size doesn't fit and you absolutely hate the way the vehicle drives because you possibly never test drove it before. But other than that, you're not going to return the vehicle because something hasn't been repaired properly and something was not disclosed. So that's our goal, is to really build proper level of trust.
Okay. And I think the last point I want to touch on is that unfortunately, there is no educational barrier to car business. And I'm saying it from experience, if you could literally fog up a mirror at the interview, you would be hired as a salesperson. I
Yeah,
mean, that's how I was hired. You know, zero sales experience, nothing. I just had a pulse and it was good enough.
yeah,
So I don't know the level of professionalism that Carvana people have because I don't believe that customers go through the entire transaction buying a car online from Carvana. I think it's a tiny percentage of customers. The rest of them actually probably get on the phone and speak to somebody, whether it's credit, you know, some whatever it is.
I think that's a big part of the transactions for sure.
So I don't know how professional these people are, but I would definitely mystery shop them
Yeah,
and
and
compare them to your staff.
yeah, it's very logical.
You know, because listen, maybe they are terrible and your guys are light years ahead of them. But what if, again, in my paranoid mind, what if it's vice versa?
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
and
they're
possibly
doing
that,
something right if they're selling. They are on pace to do 800,000 vehicles this year, so there's definitely something to learn from.
right. And, you know, I think I'm not talking about Bridgestone Automobile. Every dealer should do whatever it takes to increase the level of professionalism.
Sure,
Even when you enter the showroom, you should feel like you entered a professional space.
absolutely.
And I think it starts with uniforms,
Yeah,
right? I didn't invent them, right? There's a reason why McDonald's has a uniform and a name tag,
yeah,
right? I think little things like that should make a difference. But the ultimate thing, once you have the customer in the showroom, not only that you can test drive them, something that Carvana cannot do, but if your salespeople and your sales managers really know the product in and out, they can make up for a lot of sales deficiencies
yeah,
with product knowledge,
absolutely.
right? Because I don't believe that Carvana can provide, because again, based on the huge number of cars that they sell and the variety of cars that they sell, it would be impossible for them to have that in-depth product knowledge.
Yeah,
But your people, right? They should know GM and Stellantis. Like you should be able to wake them up at 2 o'clock in the morning
yeah.
and ask them what's the cubic feet, blah 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 of the
How
truck.
many cup holders is in the, in this in Chrysler Pacifica?
Right. They should know this information, and they should, and you should brag about how good your people are, and actually present the product to the customer. So you know, it's you don't buy an Escalade just because it looks good, right? You got to know what's inside and what the car can do. But the same thing with Ram or any other car that you offer for sale, especially now that the transaction prices are so insane, right? How much is an Escalade, regular gas engine?
110,000.
For 110,000, I want to know everything about that car.
Absolutely.
Right? I want to know. I probably want to know the name of the people, names of the people that built it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, you're not wrong.
You know, I want to know. And if your salesperson stumbles, right, I'm kind of hesitant if I'm willing to spend $110,000 on that particular product if I can't get an answer. Right? It can't be like, let me find out. Like it has to be on the tip of their tongue.
Yeah,
You know, and the last point I think where I think Carvana is not cheap, and I think people are willing to pay more, and then they don't negotiate the price for the convenience, right? Like with Amazon, right? I'm pretty sure we all know by now, right, that we are not saving any money using Amazon.
no,
We
we're saving
overpay
time.
for everything, but we're doing it consciously because we like the convenience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then the last point is that if I go to your website and it says that this Jeep Grand Cherokee is being sold for $70,000, for example, if I come to your showroom, is the pricing the same?
It's absolutely identical. As a matter of fact, our pricing is absolutely identical from our website to every third-party merchandiser that we use, every platform. And besides the point that it's FTC regulated now, it's also just creates a much better experience. You don't get to have upset customers with bad reviews and stuff like that. So that's it's our goal is to really have transparent pricing always.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, I'll be honest with you. To wrap this up, I feel better going through this intellectual exercise,
Yeah,
and I am less afraid if I was a car dealer, right, that Carvana can open next door to me.
absolutely. I agree with you. We just got to do our job. We got to do our job with quality, with care, and compassion. And I think we should be able to survive and strive.
But I think the key here is sense of urgency. You have to act as if they're opening tomorrow.
Yeah,
And the reason I say that, and I want to wrap this up by saying, that paranoia really pays off, right? And I'll give you the best example I've ever came across. So, in the beginning stages of Amazon, Amazon was really in the business of selling books,
yeah,
and they dominated, right? They blew Barnes and Noble out of the water, and Borders and all other bookstores.
yeah,
And Jeff Bezos set up a secret unit without telling anybody. He housed them in a separate location. Didn't tell anybody that they exist. They were like off the books. And he told them to develop an electronic book reader that eventually became Kindle. So the idea, his logic was that if there was somebody who's going to sabotage my business, it better be me.
yeah. Very
Right?
logical.
So that level of paranoia, that's why I'm saying I think the dealers should act as if Carvana is opening tomorrow. And then you can make all the changes to your website, to your training, to your uniforms, to the way you present service, to the way you sell service. Start offering pickup and delivery for service for your local customers. Maybe think about extending business hours to midnight or 24/7 for service. Because that's something that Carvana will not be able to compete with.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, thank you very much for joining me. This was amazing. I feel better. I
Yeah.
think I am less paranoid now.
Yeah. Thank you, Max. This was amazing. As every conversation you and me have is always amazing. It's always extremely informational and extremely, upbeat and with a lot of great ideas. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me.
Yeah, perfect. So don't leave. I'm just going to end the stream. And guys, remember, we're going to do this on a weekly basis. We're going to discuss different topics, and hopefully the outcome will be the same. All of us will be less and less paranoid about any contingency that a dealer could be facing. And thank you very much for watching.